Welcome to DeFiChain Demystified, where we dive deeper in special topics around our project. The goal is to bring answers to some tricky questions and maybe bust some myths. We are
Kügi,
and Lord Mark, and today's topic is...
what's so special about the special DFIP?
Haha, great title. Kügi, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm super fine. Great start in the year. How about you?
I'm fantastic. I'm really happy. It's really nice to see that on-chain governance is finally live. One of the most awaited topics, at least for me, on DeFiChain. And to celebrate on-chain governments, we said, let's do a special DFIP at the very beginning to kick off and test the system. And that's today's topic. So what is so special about this special DFIP? Kügi, I'm sure you can give us a fantastic answer to that.
I can give answers.
I'm sure they're very good.
Let's start right in.
Absolutely.
As always, I have stuff today. Today there's a bit more text than graphics, but
okay. So you want to show me your fantastic animations? Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
No animations.
No animations.
Just stuff.
Graphic just stuff. This sounds good.
Yeah. So let's start in a bit with the what is on-chain governance and the special DFIP, because till now this whole voting thing where the masternodes can vote on DFIPs, on CFPs, and on discussions in the community was always done via GitHub. You had to copy something into GitHub, there someone read it and count the votes and everything. And now this is all on-chain. So means it's still that every masternode can vote. This was already before, but now it's done directly via a CLI command on-chain. So you don't have to publish it anywhere. You don't need a GitHub account. You don't need anything of that. You just do a command in the CLI. Every masternode knows how to do that because that's how you create a masternode. And there you just say yes or no. And it's the same anonymity as it is in the normal blockchain, and no extra stuff, and it's far easier. And the second thing is it's now pretty easy to do, and that's why it's also implemented, that you pay the fees for the DFIP and the CFPs. There's always fees. And now 50% of those fees are burned, and the other 50%, because previously all of the fees were burned. Now 50% are burned, and the other 50% are distributed to all the masternodes who voted. So you get also an incentive, and you get a reward for voting, for doing your part in being part of the system.
Sounds good.
And normally you have a cycle for the on-chain governments. I think it's around 45 days for a voting cycle, so that everybody has time to participate and everything. But sometimes situations occur where it's important or makes sense to be faster. So basically it's about time critical stuff where someone wants to get a vote from the community in a fast manner. And that's what a special DFIP is about. And it's the difference is just that this one is not going for 45 days, but it goes on directly for 5 days. It's not part of the normal cycle. Normally the cycle is really in this cycle of 45 days, and you cannot do something in between. Special DFIP, if you create a special DFIP, it starts the moment you create it and then goes for 5 days. It needs 10% turnout. So 10% of the masternodes need to vote so that the vote is valid. Because otherwise that's basically to prevent someone from putting in a special DFIP. No one is voting, no one is recognizing it. It's just a few people vote, and then it's through. So that you need the turnout to be 10%. And it costs extra. So it costs 5,000 DFI, which is a lot, but it's also meant to be only used in real situations where you really want it. So that's why it has a heavy price. But also means that half of that, as we said before, 2,500 DFI are distributed among the voters. So if we say now we have, I think, 14,000 masternodes.
Something about that, yeah.
If 10% vote, so if 1,500 vote, it's more than one DFI per masternode. Doesn't sound much, but one DFI just for executing one command in your command line is also not bad. So that's an incentive that's really nice, in my opinion, to incentivize the votes. And yeah, that's basically what a DFIP is, or what's so special about a special DFIP.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. We had these emergency DFIPs before, right?
Yes.
Good. They've been also special, right?
Yeah. The thing is, in the past, we called it emergency DFIPs when there was something that needed to be solved quickly.
Okay.
There was it originally, the special DFIP was called emergency, and it's still in the code. It's still the flag is still emergency, but we decided that emergency doesn't have a good ring to it, because
sounds
it's
very dramatic, right?
yeah, it sounds dramatic, but just because something has some time sensitivity, so something should be decided fast, it doesn't mean it's an emergency. It could be that it's just time sensitive and we need a decision soon, or we want a decision soon, like it is with this special DFIP. That's why the naming was changed to special, because it's just faster, and yeah, something that has some special importance to it, but doesn't necessarily mean it's an emergency. Yeah.
Cool. Fully understood. Makes complete sense. Good. Thanks for that. So let's talk a little bit. What's this DFIP all about? Because I think that's now the really, really juicy stuff here.
Exactly. So what's special about this special DFIP?
And this is so special. That's the question.
Is it so special? That's a good question. It's special because it's a special DFIP. And so what is it about? Maybe start with a bit of an overview that we get an impression of what's currently happening on the chain. I try to put a bit where are the DFIs that we have on the chain currently, how are they distributed, and how is the situation in the vaults and the dUSD. Because in general, the topic is about the dUSD and short-term improvement for the whole dUSD situation. And if you look at the current state of the chain, I try to make the circles roughly on scale, not perfectly on scale, but so you have an impression. We have currently on the chain 3 DFI, where around 79 million tokens and 30 million UTXOs are just sitting somewhere on the chain, not doing anything.
Okay, so they're not staking, they're not liquidity mining, they're just sitting in a wallet there and doing nothing.
Could be on exchanges or on users, people who bought it and just keep it there or whatever.
Okay.
Then we have 161 million DFI in DFI pools. So all the pools where DFI is part of the pair, there are around 161 million in there. 103 million of those are only in the BTC DFI pool. So that shows how big this pool is compared to all the others. And then we have 235 million in normal masternodes and 85 million in locked masternodes. So this 5 or 10 year freeze. And also to take note of that, we have 200 million of those are in cake masternodes. So this basically 2/3 of all the masternodes are in cake, which is, in my opinion, in that way important to note for this topic, that cake as a service is custodial, and usually users on cake are likely to stay on cake because they don't know how to use the Light Wallet or don't want to use the Light Wallet or vaults or whatever. So it's highly likely that they stay there. Then looking at the vaults, you see the current distribution. On the left, we have the collateral, where we have around 21 million DFI in the collateral right now. 488 Bitcoin, which is in value, in dollar value, roughly the same. So that's why they are basically the same size. Then we have 51 million dUSD, and Ethereum, USDC, and USDT are there, but I think it's USDC is 1 million, USDD is below 1 million, and Ethereum is also around 1 million in dollar value. So they are kind of not important for the big picture. And in loans, we currently have 28 million DUSD loans and D-token loans worth around $15 million. So that's roughly what we had. There are still a few looped loans with the DUSD, but that's the picture. And within the pools, we have 75 million DUSD in DUSD pools currently. 46 million of those in the D-token pools. The other 30 million are in the DUSD DFI pool and in the stablecoin pools. So that's roughly the ratios and what we have in the whole system. Just to get a bit of a picture.
That's super interesting because it shows that in the vaults, I would have said, if you would have asked me, right, where do you think are the most DFI, I would have thought that there are more DFI in vaults. It's actually, I'm quite surprised about the number. It's quite low for me.
That's the thing right now, because the D-token rewards are low, the vaults are not used that much. Because the staking and other stuff has more, and liquidity mining is more rewarding right now. But that's why such a picture, it's generally interesting in my opinion. And now what this whole thing is about is we have this buy and burn bot. Most of the people probably heard about it already. The buy and burn bot gets a DFI from rewards. And uses those DFI to swap them in the dUSD DFI pool to dUSD and burn the dUSD. That's what's happening in the bot. There are two ways of getting rewards in. On the one hand, parts of the dUSD DFI pool rewards have been moved to the bot, and the unused rewards that are previously unused rewards, block rewards, are now used by the bot to burn that, which is burning a lot of DUSD right now, and have this swapping creates a constant buy pressure on the DUSD, which is now increasing the DUSD price constantly, as we saw in the last weeks. It was on the one hand the market pump that helped increase the DUSD price, but also the DUSD buy pressure from the bot were both together increase the DUSD price right now. And what this DFIP is about is that we now say, the question at DFIP is, should we use 50% of those DUSD burns as a loan incentive? We already have that with the DEX fee. That's active, that all the DUSD that are burned via the DEX fee are taken as a base, and 50% of that are used as incentive for loans. So that's the negative interest that we get right now. It's the DUSD DEX fee burn. And here we are or the question is, do we want to use those burnt DUSD and make them behave the same as the DEX fee, basically, that we say 50% of that is used as a loan incentive? And why would that make sense? In general, the thing is, if we use that as an incentive, the DUSD loans would increase again, and increasing DUSD loans means, on the one hand, we have a better algo ratio and that we want DUSD loans in the system. And on the other hand, for each DUSD loan that we increase, we need, due to the 50% DFI rule, we need DFI moving into the vaults. So if we have into collateral, exactly. If we have a lot of DUSD increasing, we create demand for DFI. And the question is where. First, before we come to that question,
the question is where would they come from? I would ask you now. Okay,
then let's do first the flow.
Sorry.
Let's move a bit in so you can read it better. Basically, we have three ways where they, four ways where it can come from. It needs to be from one of those areas.
Absolutely.
The free DFI in general is. It could come from the free DFI, but in my opinion, they are not used for any rewards right now. They are not used for staking. They are not used for liquidity mining, nothing. So they are obviously not dare to produce any yield or cannot produce any yield
Yeah,
because
these are
they're on
maybe people
exchanges or anything.
who just hold and buy and hold and wait for better
Yeah,
days, or they're on exchanges, like you said,
so
right? Okay, right.
yeah,
Why
so
would somebody now start getting into the yield earning game if they haven't done it yet? Okay, yeah, makes
especially
complete
vaults
sense.
and everything.
Exactly, makes
So
complete sense. Yeah.
highly unlikely that they move. Staking for masternodes could move to vaults. Some might move, but the interesting thing is we had basically this whole thing already in September where we increased the incentive or we introduced the incentive for the first time. And back then, no masternodes moved to the vaults. Back then, we had during this bump and where we saw in September, we saw 20 million DFI moving into the vaults. And there, during that time, the number of masternodes increased. So there was no masternodes moving to the vaults, but actually the number of masternodes increased. So the question is then different? We have more masternodes now than we had back then. So it could be that some move, but in general, last time none moved. It was actually the other way. Highly unlikely that a lot move. So leaves only the DFI pools. And there we have two ways of getting DFI from the pools to the collateral. Either it's removed liquidity, which means that on the one hand, both assets move out of the pool and need to go into the vaults. So for example, both DFI and BTC would move into the vaults. And if we reduce the liquidity in the pool, that means the rewards in the pool go up. The APR goes up because liquidity goes down. The DFI rewards stay the same. So the APR in the pool goes up. So other people might go in and say, okay, for 30% in the DFI BTC pool, I move in there. So we create the rewards there. Then they need to move somehow different into the DFI pool. So we create the demand there. And the last way, and I think that's one of the most likely, or at least a big part of the DFI might come through that, is from DFI that are bought through the pools. And because you get DFI out of the pools when you either remove both sides of the liquidity or you buy the DFI out of the pool, which means we create a big incentive for, or a big demand for DFI on this side, and the demand increases price. So the expectation is that the price will increase. And as I said, in September, we had 20 million increase DFI in the vaults. And that improved the price a lot, if I think everybody remembers September. And the question is, how will it be this time?
So
To get,
you said 20 million increased, so it nearly doubled.
yes.
Okay.
So that's also the thing. Back then, we had a similar situation like now. We had a bit less BTC in the pool in the beginning, in the vaults, and we had a bit less DFI. It was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before the update, we had 15 million in there. Then 1 week before, we had 20 million, and then it increased to 37. Depends on where you see the spike, because right to the update, it spiked like crazy into the vault. So the question is, what of that was really a pricing, had a price impact, but around 37 to 39 million was the total that we had in there. Million DFI, not dollar value, DFI. Back then, the DFI price was above $1, so we had like 40 million dollar in DFI in there. So that's also important, because that's one important thing. The dUSD loan counts one dUSD, $1. And the loan needs the dollar collateral value. So if we want to have right now for let's say 30 million dUSD, you need 150% at least. So you need $45 million worth of collateral in your vault. Now with a price of 50 cents per DFI, that means we need far more DFI to produce that dollar amount in collateral than we had in September. That's also something to keep in mind. We have a fixed number of DFI in the system, but here we need a dollar value as collateral, which is why the impact on the price is a bit special, because the DUSD are $1. Now let's talk a bit about the numbers, because I like numbers. So when we talk about that, we have right now from these rewards, we have around 700 DFI per hour. It depends a bit how it moves from the dUSD DFI rewards
So
that
these
are
these rewards fuel the burn bot, so to say,
exactly.
right?
That's
Okay.
700 around 700 DFI per hour from the dUSD rewards and 4,182 DFI per hour from the unused rewards. That's the unused rewards plus the stacked up rewards that we had because we started accumulating the rewards in December and started burning them on 10th of January. And that's why we have now 4,182. That's basically double the amount that actually coming in from the unused rewards because we are burning up the stacked. We said, okay, we double the weight to reduce the accumulated. And that's why this DFIP is a special DFIP to be time sensitive because this double weight is until the 10th of February. So the first 30 days basically from the bot. And as long as we have this double amount here, we of course have a far bigger incentive here because we burn double the amount in dUSD and therefore have a strong incentive to kickstart that. That's why we made it as a special DFIP because time is on our side if we now start with that. Also, right now, since for the incentive, we always take the last 30 days average of the burned dUSD. Now, this burn, every day we burn 4,182 DFI worth of dUSD per hour. So we have a burn every day. That started to increase on January 10th. There we started to do that. So 30 days after January 10th, we have the full amount. Right now, since we use the 30-day average, right now it's this 30-day, the burn of the last 30 days is increasing every day right now. So we're phasing in, basically. So if we activate this whole thing on February 1st, after the 5 days of the DFIP, we have still 10 days where the incentive will increase every day until it reaches or likely reaches the peak on February 10th. And where will we be on February 10th? The 30-day will likely be based on current numbers. If we have a price increase in the next week, the DEX fee might increase, or the burn from the DEX fee might increase, and the bot might burn more. But based on the current numbers, we likely then have 750K from the DEX fee and 2.4 million around DUSD from the bot. So in total, more than 3 million DUSD as a base for the incentive, which will be used then 50% of that distributed, which then incentivizes a lot of DUSD loans. So that's roughly the numbers that we have on February 10th. Now, there are a few topics to consider here. I mean, the usual counter argument against using this incentive is that burning DUSD is good because we want to get rid of DUSD in the system.
That was the
which
plan.
is right.
That was the original plan, right?
Yeah. No, yes and no. In my opinion, the most important thing from the buy and burn bot is not the burn, but the buy. We see that right now that the constant buy pressure on the dUSD has a strong effect on the dUSD price. Over time, burning the dUSD makes sense because we have algo dUSD in the system and we want to get rid of them. So over time, the burn has an impact, but on the short term and also on the midterm, the buy pressure is the most important part of the bot. And we see the effects right now. We increase the dUSD price by 1% from the bot by 1% per day. So that's a strong move. And the thing is, burning it is good. Burning a lot of it is better. So I understand if someone says if you burn half of it, we lose the burn, we lose the effect. But on the other hand, if this incentive is strong enough that we increase the DFI price a lot, and by a lot I mean double it or more, means also the DFI that go in, because here we have DFI getting burned or sold to dUSD. If DFI price doubles, we burn double the amount of dUSD and the incentive. So if we have the effect that we want on this with this incentive and we increase the price over the next weeks for more than double, in the end, we burn more dUSD. Even though we take 50% as an incentive, we will burn more dUSD as if we do nothing and just keep it as it is and burn it right now. So that's if it
So
works
it's a small,
out as we
it's in
expected.
some way a small sacrifice to achieve something much larger, right? So we reduce the burn, but fuel the engine in another way to burn at the end even more because we increase the price with it. Okay.
That's the risk. So we risk this 50% for a short term, where we say, okay, if it doesn't work out in the first weeks, we put in the counter DFIP to say, okay, let's stop it. If we see that the effect is not as we wanted it, we stop the thing again. So we put the DFIP in for the masternodes to vote, that the full dUSD is burned, and we lose a bit of the burn. But with the high reward or high possible reward that we increase the DeFi price and over time burn far more and have a lot of positive effects.
Let me ask you, why do you think, like you said, there's a risk, right? So why do you think it would not happen? So, I mean, it would just mean people would not put collateral in the vault and increase the dUSD loans, right? But if the rewards are high, why would somebody not do it? Is there something else why it could not happen?
Well, I said I'm not going too deep into the numbers to not create a hype again, because I don't want to
don't
overhype.
create a hype, just without numbers, just.
The thing is, in theory, let's stick to the theory.
Because for me it looks like a no-brainer. You know, that's what I mean. It's like
Let's take the counter side. In theory, this incentive will be strong. Let's just random numbers, but say random numbers. If this dUSD incentive would create so much negative interest that we go to 100% negative interest, and people say, for whatever reason, I don't want to be in that system. I don't care about 100% APR. I just stick there. Then those 28 million dUSD loans get 100% APR and nothing else happens.
Okay.
Then nothing would happen if the people don't use the APR. Even if we only go to 60% or 50% APR, and people say, yeah, I don't do anything for 50% APR, why should I?
Okay.
Then the ones who use it are happy. They get a lot of incentives for the time until we shut it down, if it doesn't have any effect. But nothing else would happen. If people say, okay, so that would be one option how it could fail.
Just non-existent non-existing interest on the dUSD play with the APR. Okay, that people
for
say,
whatever reason.
Don't bother me. I stay where I am. All good.
I mean, we saw in the past that we never really reached a negative interest of more than 30%. Because as soon as we got there, more dUSD loans were created. If the negative interest reduces, like we see it right now, we are at 10% or something, the loans are not closed that much. But as soon as the interest goes up, so I highly expect that we won't stay above 30% for more than a day. I expect it to be below 30% negative interest all of the time, basically.
Okay.
So let's expect that the dUSD come in, means the DFI comes in. Now, the only way that this is not affecting the price would be that it moves either from staking. If it comes from staking, the staking rewards would increase a bit. But again, if people say, okay, now I get 20% on the staking or 25% on the staking, but no one else says he wants to stake DFI because of that, so no effect on the price. If just the liquidity pools are reduced, the rewards on the liquidity pools go up, BTC DFI rewards go up, because basically the amount of DFI that we would, so if we expect 30% APR as a target APR here, the amount of dUSD that come in here would need so much DFI at the current price that only the BTC pool is big enough to even get that amount of DFI out of the pool. All the other pools would be gone; they would be empty, and that's like
unlikely, right? Yeah.
So we need at least something from the BTC pool, and then okay, the pool would go up. When people say now they get, I don't know, 16% on the Ethereum pool, suddenly they would get 30% or 40% on the Ethereum pool. But no one says, okay, I'm moving my Ethereum and DFI onto there. I get some DFI and use that. But they say, okay, I don't care. 30% liquidity mining rewards, not interesting enough. So no one buys DFI. So that would be the point where we say, okay, then interest at all.
That would mean the experiment is failed then. Okay, yeah. But okay.
Exactly.
Good, get it.
But fantastic. On the other hand, the thing is the amount of DFI. So I'm expecting double-digit million DFI moving into the collateral because of this. And there is just the question where they come from, and if I don't see a reason or a way how they come from the other DFI in the chain without having a price impact.
Okay,
but
understood.
That's if there is no price impact because people just don't buy the DFI for that, then there is no effect on that. And one other thing is that, as I said before, we basically had the same situation or a similar situation in September. We had a similar amount of DFI in the vaults. We increased the loan incentive. Back then it was also around 3.5 million on the first day. And then it reduced strongly on the first days because the tax fee burn was lower. So around the same numbers back in September. The question is now, why should it be different than in September? Because in September we had a huge hype, we had a huge impact on the price. And why should it this time stay up there?
So excellent question. I'm sure you've got an answer for that.
Yeah, of course, if I ask such a question. So sorry, a lot of text this time. So there are basically three main differences to September. First, we don't have dUSD loops anymore. Now, in September, we saw 100 million dUSD loans created. So on the first day, we had 100 million dUSD loans in all the vaults.
Yep.
But only 20 million DFI moved into the collateral, and the rest was looped dUSD loans that took dUSD out of the system, which is good, which was good because we wanted dUSD out of the system. But the impact on the DFI was not so strong because a dUSD demand increases the dUSD price, but only in the second step has an impact on the DFI price because dUSD demand also needs DFI on the long term, but not immediately. So there we had not that strong impact on the DFI. Now you need, if you want to create additional dUSD loans, you need to have at least 50% of the collateral in DFI.
Okay.
Of the collateral means you need at least 150% collateral. So at least 75% of each dUSD loan that you take needs to be in DFI, dollar value. I mean, realistically, the question is, what are the remaining percent? Since it's not a risk-free loop anymore, you can't go to 150%, so you'll likely stay at 200% to be safe. And there's a question, where are the other, what other crypto collateral do we get? Is some of it still dUSD? Is BTC? Whatever. A big open question. We will see that in the first days. If the DFIP gets approved, we will see that. We will look at those numbers and give updates about that. But the important thing is the difference, no more dUSD loops. So there is a strong need for DFI in the collateral. Second thing is, and I think that was one of the most important problems in September, that on the day of the update, since we got these 100 million dUSD loans, the DEX fee immediately dropped by 50%. Everybody was happy in theory about that.
Yeah, short-term happy.
Short-term happy, but since the fee dropped, also we reached the dUSD peg in the days before the update already, and then the fee dropped by half. A lot of people said, okay, now I'm selling my dUSD because now I'm selling the dUSD to buy DFI. So basically it was a move from dUSD to DFI, which is generally good, but created a bit of a discount. So a bit 10% discount because the fee dropped by 12%. So the price of the USD went down, which created a shock to the system. People got panicked because 3 hours after the update, we weren't at $2 and the USD got in a bit of a discount again. So everybody was thinking this whole failed, although we had 100 million USD loans created. All the numbers were correct, but panic overrules numbers. And this time we don't have that. We don't have a sudden drop in the DEX fee because it's defined that if we are above $1 in the DFI pool, or at least one pool for 1 day above $1, the USD price, the fee is reduced by 0.5% on that day. So we slowly go down. We go down, but it takes time. There's no sudden drop, no sudden increase. And we also see that right now in the DUSD DFI price because of the burn bot. The bot increases the DUSD price every day. And we see sometimes if a level is reached, we see a sell of 100K DUSD, for example. Then we see a bit of a spike, a bit of a tick back up, and then it moves down again. There is no massive spike or something because some big change. It's a slow change down. Sometimes we have a bit of a retrace, and then it continues.
So that means we learned a lot. The system is far better balanced now. And
exactly. And the other thing, what I said before is the DEX fee, since on the one hand, the DEX fee, the DUSD selling decreased up to the update because everyone was waiting for the DEX fee to reduce. So the burn reduced and therefore the incentive got reduced on the first days, and the DEX fee got reduced, so the incentive got down. So we had a strong incentive on the first and the second day, and then the incentive dropped a lot, and therefore the need for DUSD loans dropped, the DUSD loans went back down and everything. Now, as I said, an increasing DFI price will increase the burn from the bot because the bot gets a better price for its DFI that it burns. So the main part of the incentive that we have right now is from the bot. And this increases if the DFI price increases. So it's not that if everything works well, the incentive will go down, but it will go up in the first days and weeks. And it will stay high during the first weeks because I expect the first weeks to be a bit bumpy. We will see strong increases. We might see retraces because people take profits and everything, which is perfectly fine. If you have a 100% increase against Bitcoin, it's perfectly fine to take some profits on that position. I mean, I would like to everyone hodl DFI to $50, but it's perfectly fine if some take profits. So we will see a bit of a bumpy road. But due to the bot, we now have a constant buy pressure on the DUSD, and this constantly increases and keeps the incentive high. So that's the main differences why a shock to the system is unlikely. Or a shock to the system is not there because of the DEX fee, and it's far more stable than back, and the incentive is far more bigger. So the demand due to the 50% DFI collateral is far higher than back in September.
So it means it looks all in total much better than a couple of months ago.
Yeah. I mean, one last thing. I know we are already deep into the time, but one last thing. A lot of text. Sorry, I'm talking through it, so you don't need to read it, but you can if you want. I think it's important because also what we learned in September is that a lot of hype and unrealistic expectations are bad. If people have the wrong expectations, we might see panic in the market because those unrealistic expectations are not met. And then panic overrules everything. So when we say we expect a strong increase in the price, it might not be on the first day. It might be bumpy. So let me give you a bit of a rundown what I expect over the next weeks and months if this all works out correctly, if this all works out as we expected. First, we will see an increased DFI demand, which increases DFI price. An increased DFI price pushes the DUSD into a premium. That's important to note. Yes, we have a discount right now and we want to pack, but to solve this whole situation, we need to expect a premium, and the premium would be really good because if we have a 30% premium on DUSD in the DFI route, this will pull the stablecoin pools to pack because the difference between those two prices can only be the DEX fee, so the 30%. So if we have via the DFI route a 30% premium and the stablecoin pools are at peg, means everybody can buy dUSD on the peg, and if they want to get out, they use the DFI route, and basically the DEX fee pays for itself because you have the premium where you can sell the dUSD, and the premium is burned as the DEX fee. And anyone who gets in and out again pays no DEX fee netto because they have the difference. So a premium on the DFI route would be good. Also, a premium is super important because one thing that also Tommy is always focusing on, and he's absolutely right there, it's no point in just increasing the USD loans if they are just used for liquidity mining. Liquidity mining is good. We need liquidity in the pools. So DUSD created for liquidity mining with the DUSD tokens as pair and then put it into liquidity mining is perfectly good use case and super for the system. But we also need with DUSD to be sold to crypto, to be sold to stablecoins or to DFI or Bitcoin or whatever. We need DUSD loans to be sold because if we have sold DUSD loans, means once the DUSD gets into a discount again, those will be bought back because at the discount it's cheap to close your loans, or you need to close your loans, but they will buy back, so they have an impact on the price. That's why it's important. And with a premium in DUSD, if we now have an incentive to create a DUSD loan and a premium if you sell the DUSD, so you get more for the DUSD right now, this will create a strong incentive to sell the DUSD, and therefore we have sold DUSD loans, which is exactly what we need for a long-term stable DUSD price. So a premium of a DUSD is good. Right now it will likely be a strong premium because of the DEX fee, so expect that, and that starts the road to a stable DUSD. Once we have a premium, so above $1 for 1 day in one pool, $1 before the fee, so just the price that's in the pool, then the DEX fee gets reduced by 0.5% each day. Also, we will have a sustained incentive because the negative interest from the bot, as I said, increased DFI price increases also the incentive, and increasing DFI price increases the APR in the D tokens. High APR in the D tokens means it's highly rewarding to create delta neutral strategies with bots or not in the vaults. So even more incentive to create loans, D tokens, and DUSD. So more incentive to get collateral in. Collateral needs to be 50% DFI for the DUSD loans. Even more demand for DFI, so a good positive spiral in the DFI demand. And then we have this 0.5% each day. And because of this great incentive, we might even see an algo ratio below 50%.
Okay.
Over time, over the weeks, not a few days, over the next weeks, or even 2 to 3 months until we reach the 50% algo ratio. A 50% algo ratio means the DEX fee is below 1%. I think at 50%, it's the 1% level. Since the DEX fee is going down 0.5% each day where we have the premium, there will be days where we don't have a premium, so I don't expect it to go down every day for 2 months. So I would expect it to take 2 to 3 months to have the DEX fee down to the target level, if everything works out best way and as expected. But that means that the DEX fee might be below 1% after 2 to 3 months after the DFIP gets activated, which is a great thing because then the DEX fee is down, means also the pools are, the DFI route and stablecoin pools are only 1% difference, in, out, perfectly fine, everything works there. During all the time, we will have a bumpy road. It will get up and down. There will be spikes up or sometimes a bit retraces down, also depending on the market, because we are still depending on the market in a good and bad way. Until all the measures are in, we are depending on the market. But the bot buys until 95 cents after fee. So right now, with a high fee, it will push it into a premium. But even then, it buys until that. If it's not buying, so if we are above 95 cents after fee, it will accumulate DFI again and then use what it has once we are below 95 cents again. So there we have our buffer for these bumpy times, that's the bumpy weeks ahead, that if we go into a stronger premium discount again, the bot kicks in again and starts buying again and starts pushing the price up with the incentive again. So this stabilizes it during this first month. And over time, also the increasing DFI price increases the APR in the stablecoin pools. And increasing APR in the stablecoin pools means increased demand for dUSD and high liquidity to stabilize that. Because if you think about it, right now we have 20 to 30% APR in the stablecoin pools, which is insane for stablecoins if it's a stablecoin. Once dUSD, when we have now 2 to 3 months where the dUSD is around the peg plus minus 5% and going the range going down, and we are closer and closer to the peg, means the trust into the dUSD comes back. The DFI, if the DFI really increases by 2 or 3x, we have from 30% to 60 to 90% APR. If that goes down to even 10% is big for a stablecoin pool. So if that as a target goes down to 10%, we have 6 to 9 times the liquidity. Currently 10 million are in there. So if we have 60 to 90 million, means alone in the dUSD pools, we have an increased demand of 60 to 90 million dUSD. And we have a super strong, stable liquidity there to keep the peg, because in a pool with 60 million, you can sell and buy a lot without moving the pool a lot. So there's the additional stability there then. And once the dUSD is above 99 cents in those stablecoin pools for 2 weeks, then the dynamic interest rates are activated. And there we have the effect with the premium and the sold dUSDs. As soon as the dynamic interests are activated and we have enough dUSD loans to use them, if we get into a discount, the interest rate will go up. People would close the dUSD loans by buying back the dUSD, and that's a good impact on the price. So that's the rough stabilization path. So not within days, not within weeks that we are perfectly stable. We will still be depending on the market. But after that, if everything goes as planned and everything is fine, within a few months, we will see the DEX fee really low, likely even below 1%. That also means that the negative interest will reduce over time, but then we also don't need it anymore if we have the APRs high again to incentivize it for liquidity mining and everything. So that's a path, right?
It's a good path. So it means stay cool, don't freak out, don't panic. It can be a bit bumpy. Trust the process and watch the right numbers and see what Kügi tweets about the process. Don't follow the wrong people, because some people are gonna panic and freak out because the numbers are not happening tomorrow or the day after, right? So stay cool in some way and see how it goes. And it's not that everything can explode if things are just not going according to plan, because like Kügi said before, the interest is just not there. So people don't want the APRs, then there's always a possibility just to change the system again and go the other way. So it's not that we're gonna hit a big iceberg and then everything's gonna explode. It just has to be adjusted. But for me, so I'm very positive about it. For me, it's kind of a no-brainer, but let's see, right?
Yes, let's see. Let the community vote.
Exactly.
I hope it gets approved, because I think it's a high potential for the price and for the stability. Because it's always this, either we take a long time to burn all the unnecessary or all the dUSD, or because what we have right now is an imbalance between the value in the collateral and the dUSD in the system, or the D tokens in the system. We have too many D tokens in the system. We can either try to reduce them, or we can try to increase the dollar value in the collateral. And if we increase the dollar value in the collateral by increasing the DFI price or the demand and therefore the price, then the whole system is balanced again. Then we have again the whole value of the system, of the D token system. We see right now, because Cake is buying so many D tokens, there's a lot of trading happening in the D tokens. And we see currently up to 15% APR just from the commissions in some pools, because so many people are trading. And if the fees go down, if the DEX fee gets reduced, we are back to our value and the worth of DFI. And with a working D-token system, DFI is worth far more than it is right now, just because of the ecosystem. And if we get there, it's sustainable in the valuation and in the collateral. Yeah?
Cool. Kugi, fantastic. That was a long one, but I think there was so much good insight in there. So I don't want to blame you for taking a bit longer today.
It's fine.
The DFIP sounds quite simple, but there's so many layers to it and so much impact. So I think, thanks a lot for explaining that so much in detail. I hope you all enjoyed it out there. And we're gonna be back soon. We have some plans for some more videos. Kugi, thank you so much. You do the heavy lifting here. I'm just the entertainer. Have a good day and see you in our next video, Kugi. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you.